Welcome to the WP Builds podcast, bringing you the latest news from the WordPress community. Now, welcome your hosts, David Wormsley and Nathan Wrigley.
Hello there and welcome to the WP Builds podcast once more. We're on episode number 221 today and it's entitled Livestream with WordPress and WP Livestream. It was published on Thursday the 18th of March 2021. My name's Nathan Wrigley, and a little bit of housekeeping just before we begin. Do head over to our website, wpbuilds.com. That's where we keep all of our content. The content that we typically produce in a week involves a Thursday podcast, which you're listening to right now. And then on a Monday at 2 p.m. UK time, you can find us live at wpbuilds.com/live for a show called This Week in WordPress. I'm joined every week by Paul Lacey and usually a couple of other WordPress guests, and we discuss the latest news from the previous 7 days in the WordPress space. That then gets repurposed into a video and a newsletter piece of content which I publish at 7 a.m. UK time. And if you go to the subscribe page, wpbuilds.com/subscribe, there's a form on there and you can sign up to the newsletters to be alerted whenever we produce new content. On that page, there's also links to our very friendly Facebook group and YouTube channel, Twitter stream, and so on and so forth. So that's wpbuilds.com/subscribe. I know that a lot of you are in the market for WordPress Deals, and we've got a dedicated deals page for that, wpbuilds.com/deals. It's there 365 days of the year, and it's a little bit like Black Friday, but every day of the week. So if you need a plugin or a theme this week, it may be worth checking that out and bookmarking it for future reference, wpbuilds.com/deals. And finally, wpbuilds.com/advertise if you have a product or service in the WordPress space and you would like to put it in front of a WordPress specific audience, a bit like these two companies have done. The WP Builds podcast was brought to you today by Cloudways. Cloudways is a managed cloud hosting platform that ensures simplicity, performance and security. It offers cloud servers from 5 different cloud providers that you can manage through its intuitive platform. Some of the features include 24/7 support, free migrations and dedicated firewalls. You can check it out at cloudways.com. And A/B split test. Do you want to set up your A/B split test in record time, like in a couple of minutes? Use your existing pages and test anything against anything else. Buttons, images, headers, rows, anything. And the best part is that it works with Elementor, Beaver Builder and the WordPress block editor. You can check it out and get a demo at absplittest.com. And we'd like to thank all of our sponsors for supporting WP Builds and enabling the podcast to take place. Okay, what have we got for you today? Like I said at the top, it's episode 221, Livestream with WordPress and WP Livestream. I'm joined today by Nathan Parikh, who is the founder of the plugin. And the idea here is that you install this plugin and then you are able to live stream throughout the universe. Platforms include Twitch, YouTube, Vimeo, Facebook, the usual suspects, but it does make the whole process a lot easier. If you've ever tried this before, you've got this awful process where if you try to embed a live stream, you have to go back each time to create a new live stream code and embed that on your website. Well, this plugin takes care of all that. Anytime you go live, it detects that and it puts it onto your website. It will also do a whole bunch of other things. So, for example, it will put a banner up on all the other pages of your website to say, we're live streaming now, come and find us. But there's a whole ton of things in the process of being built as well. So quite a comprehensive roadmap. WP Builds listeners also get 15% off this plugin using the code VIP. So that's VIP, all in caps, at the checkout. It seems that live streaming is all the rage at the moment, and so this is right in my wheelhouse. I really learnt a lot, and I hope that you enjoy the podcast. Hello there, welcome to the WP Builds podcast once again. This will be a fun episode because it's an episode we've literally never touched on before. So I'm going to introduce you to Nathan Parikh. How are you, Nathan?
Doing well, thank you for having me on.
Nathan and I have connected about a plugin that he has created, and it seems like if you were in the plugin space, the plugin that he's created just seems to have fitted perfectly with the issues that we've had during the year 2020 and 2021. It's called WP Livestream, and we might as well get the URL out there right at the start, so that if you want to pause this podcast and go and check out what we're talking about, you can find it. It's wplivestream.com, and I bet you can't guess what it does. It enables you to send live streams to your WordPress install. Before we get into the specifics of the plugin, always good to get a bit of background about you, Nathan. Tell us. It's only just occurred to me that we've got two Nathans on the call. That's kind of weird.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a bit of a first. What's your background with WordPress? You a developer full time? Is this like a part-time gig? What's your WordPress journey?
Yeah, so I started way back in 2007. I was getting ready to go to college at that time, and I had been following Corey Miller's personal blog, basically, and I'd already been tinkering around in high school with just the basic web development back in the day, whether it was Front Page or Dreamweaver, working with tables and all that kind of stuff. And so I'd slowly grown from there in the early 2000s, and I saw that he had posted that he was looking for some help building like a WordPress theme. And at the time, I had never built anything with WordPress in 2007, but I emailed him anyway and said, hey, I think I can help you with this. And I got the gig, and that was my entrance into the WordPress world. And I've been freelancing with WordPress development projects basically ever since. I did that through college, through grad school, and I'm still doing it today. And so I've had the privilege of working on a variety of projects for clients all over the world. And it's been a quick 14 years, but here I am. So
what a nice place to start with Corey Miller.
Yeah.
Wow. So you really hit the ground running there. That's lovely.
Yeah, I didn't even know it.
Yeah. Well, perfect. So we'll get sort of stuck into the product itself. We've got a plugin, WP Livestream. What does it do? If anybody was in any doubt, probably good to explain.
Sure. So at its very core, its core functionality is to automatically embed a live stream onto your WordPress website. And so in addition to my freelance WordPress work, I'm also a pastor at a church in Fort Worth, Texas. And I'm over all of our communications. And so it's a pretty small team as far as who is over that. And so like many other organizations, we really jumped into live streaming more seriously in 2020. And I found myself kind of being a one-man show of I had to run the camera, I had to start the live stream, I had to then, after we had gone live, while I'm running the camera, embed the live stream onto our website so other people could watch it. And I'm like, man, there has to be like an automatic way to do this, to take at least this piece off of my plate, because we live stream to Facebook and to YouTube. And there wasn't really anything that fit what I was looking for. And so I just kind of decided to build it myself. And I kind of got the core functionality working for us in our church kind of early on. But then once COVID hit and a bunch of other organizations started needing to live stream, I just realized that there was a big need for this. And so I decided to really put my nose down and work hard at it. And I released it in May of 2020.
Yeah, just the perfect timing. You know, the world needed solutions like this kind of yesterday during the beginning of COVID, didn't they? So that's amazing. Now, anybody listening to this will probably, if you've never done a live stream before, you've probably got this impression that it's really easy to live stream, because in effect it is. You know, you can click a button in your Facebook app and you're off. You can press buttons in YouTube and you're off. But that's not the crisis, is it? The crisis here is actually getting it somewhere else, you know, onto a WordPress website. And so I wonder if you could describe the problem with that, because, like I say, I think people will assume that this is straightforward. No, it's not beyond the realms of people. But there are complexities, and also there's a friction about the repetition of it as well. So if you could just describe the problem and how your solution fits that problem.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's a couple angles to it. Like the most foundational one is typically however you choose to go live or start your live stream. Every time you do so, there's typically a unique embed code. And so if you want to embed that anywhere, every time you have to basically copy that unique embed code and then paste that into your website or wherever it is that you're trying to embed. And so that's kind of what led me at first to develop this, was the need to kind of have a set it up once and then you never have to touch it again solution, to where it'll auto detect and then it'll grab all of that unique embed code for you and then just put it onto your website. And then the other facet of it is, as a communications guy, like my goal is to basically make it as easy as possible for our live stream to be found. And so some of our people that we reach are on Facebook, other people are on YouTube, but a lot of our people who are trying to visit us or check us out for the very first time, they're going to land on our website. And so that was a very important piece for us to have that in place, to where if someone is searching for us for the very first time, when they land on our page, we wanted them to be able to easily find that live stream. And so, yeah, kind of the unique ID that's generated each time was a challenge. And then also just providing like that extra avenue for my church and other organizations to reach people where they are, instead of demanding that they all go to one platform.
Yeah, I mean, do not underestimate the folly of not copying and pasting the link correctly, because honestly, when you're doing these live events, typically there's some sort of time constraint. You know, you've set the clock.
Right.
You're going to go live at 3 p.m. or whatever it might be. And I have done it. I have literally forgotten. This was in the days prior to sort of figuring out my own solution, but I've forgotten, as the last piece of that jigsaw puzzle, to go to the WordPress website and to paste in the actual code. It just got forgotten. And so you're going live and you've told everybody to go to this particular URL and there's nothing to see here. So having a solution which enables you to go live, and regardless of when you do that, you can give them your bespoke URL. In our case, we just use wpbuilds.com/live. It's short, it's easy to remember, and people can go there, and I don't have to worry too much about getting that code right, because it automatically consumes the correct code. So how does it work on a sort of like technical level? How do you actually figure out what the next live stream? Let's take the example of YouTube. If each time YouTube is, if you configure something, you say, I'm going to go live at 2 p.m. tomorrow, what's going on in the background so that you can consume the correct feed at the correct time and put it on the website?
Right. Yeah. So currently the way the plugin works is it won't show anything on your website as far as the live stream until it's truly live. But one of the benefits is that you can customize what is shown in the meantime. So you can put any WordPress content or like any short code or any HTML code that you want as like a placeholder. So like, for instance, right now, if your channel isn't live and someone goes to that live page on your website, it won't just be a blank screen. They'll be able to see whatever it is that you want them to see. But on the YouTube side of things, once your channel is live, basically I had to build my own little scraper that would detect when you go live, because YouTube does have an API that detects when a channel goes live, but by default, the amount of credits, if you will, that they give each user to check when your channel goes live, it'll be consumed pretty quickly. And so basically for a lot of people who go live on a regular basis, their API usage would be maxed out pretty fast. Even if so what I do is to help is I cache the response so that every 3 minutes when someone hits the page, that's when the call is made to check, hey, is this channel live or is it not? Just to kind of help speed things up. But even with that caching system in place, you could pretty quickly use up all of your YouTube API credits. And so that was a big challenge for me initially as well, because like Facebook makes it pretty easy with their Graph API, Vimeo and Twitch make it a little bit more straightforward with their APIs as well. But YouTube currently has that limit. And so I kind of had to find a little workaround if I was going to build something that was usable for people who go live frequently or have a lot of people visiting their website to see if they're live. So it's pretty easy, honestly, for the YouTube setup for the plugin. It's probably the most straightforward one to use. You just enter your channel ID, and you're done. And then you can set some options as far as how you want it to look and what's shown with it. And then with Facebook, you have to set up your own Facebook app and connect it to your page and authorize the plugin to work with it. Same thing with Vimeo and Twitch, but we try to walk you through it pretty simply in the documentation.
Yeah, and I guess the point here is that you're trying to just create something on your own backyard, in your own backyard. So you could, if you wanted, send people to Facebook, but you might like literally disagree with doing that. But also you could send people to YouTube, but the chances of that being a nice, easy to read URL are pretty slim. Right. So the idea is that you put something out on your own platform, your own WordPress website with your own branding, and there it is. You know, you configure a URL, set it, and is this one of those things where you just set it one time? You know, you spend 10 minutes in the plugin backend, configure all the bits, and you're done. That should be it.
Right. Yeah. So like for our church, I haven't touched it in months, basically. So I set it up one time, and I haven't had to worry about it since. So now it's every week when we go live, it's just automatically there on our website. And the plugin also offers a little like notification feature that you can choose to display on your website. So basically on every page that doesn't have the live stream, if someone visits, you can have a little like notification bar that says, hey, we're live right now, click here to watch. And they can either dismiss that or click the button there. It'll take them to your live page.
Oh, that's a really nice feature. I didn't know about that. So what, like a pop-up or a little bar at the bottom or something that's saying we're live?
Yeah, just like a little just like a little toast notification at the bottom right or bottom left of the screen that you can choose where it's shown, and also just you can customize the colors and like just what it says to match what it is you're trying to communicate. But because like a lot of times, again, like in my context, if someone who doesn't really know our church lands on our website, they're not really going to know necessarily, oh, I need to click over here to the live page to watch their stream. And so we wanted a way to notify our visitors that, hey, we're live right now. Come check us out. And so that was one other benefit to that. And like you alluded to earlier, the benefit of keeping it all in your own backyard, so to speak, is hopefully in the middle of the live stream or once it's done, they'll be able to stay on your website and click around, as opposed to YouTube just rolling them into the next live stream and then they're gone, so to speak.
Yeah. With the little toast, pop-up or toast notification or whatever, does it come up so it's sensing when the live stream begins? And then it begins to broadcast itself throughout the rest of your website. Can you configure which pages it comes on? So as an example might be, let's just put that on the home page, or is it just on or off site-wide?
Yeah, currently it's on every page except the pages that have your live stream. Yep. So yeah, that would be a feature we would want to add down the line, is you can have a little more fine-tuned control. Yeah. But I knew I didn't want it to show up on our live stream page because that would be kind of redundant.
Yes, yeah.
And so
here we are.
Yeah, anywhere that it detects that the plugin's being used, it won't show on those pages. But right now it is site-wide. Yeah.
I have another question about that because I'm interested.
Yeah.
Maybe this is something for the future as well. Whether it can tell visitors that we are going to go live, in 3 hours or something. That might be an interesting.
Yeah. So that's on our roadmap, is kind of more of like a countdown feature to kind of give you more of a heads up. Because right now it's basically once you are actually live, then it'll show.
Okay.
Kind of the same thing with the embed, is we want to be able to show a countdown as opposed to, hey, we're offline right now, but maybe you're about to go live in 2 minutes, to have a little bit more padding there for your visitors.
Yeah. One of the nice things about, say, for example, being subscribed to a YouTube channel is that YouTube very helpfully tells you when people are going live, or at least that's my experience. I don't know if that's on-offable, if you can switch that off in the settings for your particular channel, but you get some kind of, so if you go to YouTube, it will tell your subscribers we're going live, and so that's helpful, a bit like your toast notification. I don't know if the other platforms do that as well, But also, I wondered if that was something that it did. It could be configured to work with MailChimp or something to send out to your own subscriber list where we're going live or we have just gone live. Come and join us. Kind of replacing the YouTube pop-up, the YouTube notification, with your own branded one.
Yeah, you're definitely on the right track. Yeah, that's also something on our roadmap is to work with Zapier, basically,
nice.
so that
Yep.
Yeah, so like it'll trigger once you're live, then you can trigger, like a email from MailChimp or a text from Twilio or whatever it is that you want to do, just because there's so many different use cases that people live stream with. There's just a lot of possibilities there. But no, it's a great idea and something that's on our roadmap.
Yeah,
so.
I guess this is great. Yeah, because that is, I think, the friction, isn't it? It's so easy to go live nowadays.
Right.
That just alerting people that obviously everybody knows kind of when the television is going, the news is going to be on because it's happening every day. And if you're lucky enough to produce a live stream at the exact same time of the week, you can probably get a regular audience. But for most people, it's not like that. You just do something when on the spur of the moment, perhaps a little bit more. So having those possibilities to alert your audience that I'm doing it is really
Absolutely.
nice. Yeah. Just run through the platforms that it's configured to work with. I know we mentioned YouTube, we mentioned Facebook. What are the other ones again?
It also works with Vimeo and Twitch. So those are the 4 platforms that we currently support, and we're looking to add more, but we want to get those big 4 out of the gate just because those are the most popular ones.
Yeah. Do they differ in the way things present on your website? So, for example, if I use Facebook over YouTube or Vimeo, does the thing that comes onto the WordPress website look the same in all cases?
Yeah, so right now we just basically take the default embeds from each platform. So if you're embedding from YouTube, you'll see the YouTube player. If you're embedding from Facebook, you have the Facebook video player. Vimeo, Twitch are the same. And so, right now it'll look like whatever platform you have. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of one of the challenges of supporting multiple platforms is I would love to have like a customizable unified player in the long term to where just to give the users more customization.
Yeah.
But just trying to figure out how to make that work. And then on top of that, you have comments, which Vimeo and Twitch support. Sadly, YouTube just disabled that.
I found that out to my cost
month.
The other day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just there it was. There was the regular bit of PHP, and the blessed comments were not anywhere to be seen. And a quick Google, they just sort of silently deprecated the embed feature for comments, which was a bit annoying.
Yeah, it was. And so, and Facebook doesn't even allow it at all by default.
Yep.
And so that's a big request that we have is, hey, I want to have comments on my page as well, because you are losing something, if people can't interact. That's definitely a valuable feature. And so that is another item on our roadmap where we're looking to build a kind of a custom comment feed so that regardless of what platform you're using, it'll pull that in live.
Yes.
But that's a bit of a challenge. But
I was going to ask. That was my next question. Were you going to use like a default WordPress commenting system, or were you going to again try and consume the comments? I've used platforms like what's it called, Restream. That's it.
Oh yeah,
Restream.io, and I don't know what kind of wizardry is going on there, but they somehow managed to pull in the comments from the different platforms. So the Facebook comments come in and the YouTube comments come in, and they all get coalesced into this one comment stream.
They have really mastered that aspect of it really well. Yeah, so basically I'm trying to basically build a WordPress version of that.
Yep.
So because to get that feature with Restream, you have to be using that platform, which is totally understandable for them to do. But I want it to be more open just to the WordPress community in general.
Yeah.
And so that's what our goal is, to have that option as well.
Yeah, I feel that would be a really excellent feature, because I've played with Restream a little bit before and I've kind of moved away from it, and now I'm using a platform called Streamyard, which is a SaaS app, and it can sort of handle the going to different destinations. It doesn't handle any of the stuff that you're describing. It doesn't try to fix any of the problems, but it does try to tackle the combined commenting system, and it works pretty well. I'm really happy with it. But there's no way of getting that onto the website. There's only I can see it in the SaaS app. I can actually put those comments onto the screen, which is quite nice, but I
Right.
can't put those comments onto the website. And so I, until this month, was relying on YouTube. Well, there was our Facebook group and people comment over there who happened to be logged into Facebook at that moment. And
Right.
then I was able to embed the YouTube comments, which seemed like a really nice kind of a sort of poor man's commenting system. It worked well
Sure.
enough. But then, like you say, it just broke. And so that would be a marvelous solution if you could figure that out and have a WordPress version of that. That would be sublimely cool.
Yeah, that's the plan. Hopefully I can get that working.
Yeah, that would be lovely. Speaking of things like YouTube breaking and so on, is that a thing which has happened a lot? I know that a lot of people, if they invest in a technology like your plugin, they're keen to know that it's a set it and forget it solution, that if anything on the back end, on the YouTube side or the Facebook side, because we all have had problems where we've logged into Facebook with our third-party systems, and then we get a notification 2 weeks later, you've been logged out of Facebook, you've got to re-log in and authenticate yourself again. Do we any of that stuff going on that you've had to deal with, changes to their back end, the way that their API works and so on?
Yeah, the plugin is still pretty young. It's not even a full year old yet, but yeah, I've had to deal with, different API changes for YouTube, for Facebook. So far, Vimeo and Twitch have remained pretty static, so that's been good. But Facebook is pretty regularly updating their, graph API, and sometimes it doesn't affect me, and other times it does affect the plugin functionality, and so that's one of the reasons why it is a premium plugin, is because I have to basically stay on top of now anyway 4 different platforms and their APIs, and when they update, what breaks basically. And so, so it is a challenge right now with the 4 platforms trying to say, hey, every update that they push, I have to make sure that everything that the plugin offers still works with each platform.
Yeah. I feel that I may have missed the target when I described this at the beginning, so I just want to rewind a little bit and just explain what it is that you're actually achieving when you do this. So imagine that you've got a WordPress web page, and again, I don't know how this works. I'm going to guess it's a shortcode, but we'll get to that in a minute. You put that into the page, and then if you link it, say, to Facebook, every time you go live on Facebook, with zero friction, you're just going to go live on your own website as well. So basically, you kind of get your own free of Facebook version of like a TV channel. And I don't know if I kind of made that point. It kind of feels like, oh, well, they need to be logged into Facebook, or they need to be on YouTube and so on. But that's the point, right? You pick a place where you want it to go, and then you can steal it, if you like, from that place, YouTube, Twitch, Vimeo, or whatever, and stick it on your own website.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the challenges that we had when we first started streaming at my church. We were only going to Facebook, which, a lot of our people use, but not everyone does. And so when we said, hey, we're live on Facebook, they were like, well, I don't have a Facebook account, so I'm just not going to watch. I'm like, okay. But if you embed it on your website, you don't have to have a Facebook account, or like you said, a Google account or anything. It's just there on your website. So if they have a browser, they'll be able to watch.
Okay. It's sublimely cool. This is right in my wheelhouse. I love all this stuff, so it's very exciting. Do you have sort of like a list? Well, I know you do. I'm just wondering if we missed any of the features. I don't want to get to the end of this podcast and think, we forgot to mention that. So we mentioned the destinations. We mentioned the fact that you embed it. So let's go with that. The embed thing, how does that work? How do we actually get from your settings page, what's in the settings page, and how do we actually convert the plugin into something on the site? So a step-by-step guide in audio.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So once everything is configured on the back end with the plugin settings, it's really just right now just a dead simple shortcode. You just drop in the shortcode WP Livestream on whatever page or pages that you want your live stream to be, and that's it. And so right now there's no options or configuration things you need to do within the shortcode, although we'll probably add some options down the road, as well as the ability to use it in a block form and a native Gutenberg block. But right now it's just a simple shortcode that you can place on any widget area, any post, any page that supports shortcodes, and you'll be good to go. Okay.
And how do we in the back end enable Facebook to talk to the plugin and YouTube to talk to the plugin? What do we need to do? Is that, I mean, it's fairly straightforward procedure, but nevertheless worth explaining.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so it's again a little bit different for each platform because of their different APIs and requirements. So YouTube is the easiest. You just put in your channel ID, hit save, and that's all you have to do if you want to embed from YouTube. For Facebook, in order to get data from your Facebook page, it requires that you have to create a Facebook app that then connects to your Facebook page, and that is authorized to work with the plugin. And so it's a little more step by step, but we have like a step by step screenshot walkthrough in our documentation that will kind of take you through that. So Facebook is probably the most tedious, but it's really would only take you probably about 15 minutes to do.
Yeah.
But for a lot of first time users or people who aren't tech savvy, it can be a little bit intimidating. And so I try to make the documentation as clear as possible, and we also offer a setup service where I would basically set it up for you.
Oh, nice.
And some people have opted to do that as well.
Yep.
And then Vimeo and Twitch are basically the same idea as what Facebook does, except not quite as intense. It'll probably take you about 10 minutes to do those.
Okay.
But it's basically, just a little bit different for each platform because they all have different requirements for their APIs and apps and everything.
There's no benefit to doing more than one, though, is there? Presumably, if you've decided on Facebook, then Facebook will just work just fine.
Yeah, for sure. So I always encourage people. It's like it just depends on what platforms you're streaming to. If it's just one, then obviously you'll do that one. If you do stream to YouTube, I always just my recommendation is to use YouTube as well, or as your primary one that you embed on your website, just because most people are familiar with it, and there's just a greater chance that your theme would have those styles in place to support it.
Yeah.
But of course, Vimeo works fantastic as well. But typically, Facebook and YouTube are our number 1 and 2 used platforms with the plugin currently.
Yeah.
And so I always just tell people, hey, if you're using both, I would recommend embedding from YouTube. And it used to be because YouTube would have the comments, but now it's just because YouTube is a little bit more embed friendly.
Yeah, and everybody gets the YouTube UI, don't they? That the buttons that you just know where everything is. You know where the I don't know, the pause button is, and the ability to change up and change down the quality of the stream. And it's just I can't think of a single human alive who's probably not interacted with YouTube at some point or other. Yeah. So if I was to go, let's say I right now I decide to live stream this, and I turn on my camera and I've embedded your shortcode into one of my pages. Mm-hmm. You mentioned that you will be polling roughly every 3 minutes thereabouts to see if something's started. Okay, so let's say that by pure coincidence, 2 minutes and 59 seconds go by between me clicking the button and you doing the next poll. In other words, I'm right at the edge of this polling. How does that work? Does that live stream miss 2 minutes 59 seconds, or does it then just begin playing it from the beginning of the live stream?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So the way the polling works with the plugin is it's not 3 minutes from when you go live. It's 3 minutes from the last hit on the page, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And so basically, if you were to go live, but no one visits your website until 1 second after you go live, then they'll see it right away. But yeah, there's pretty much. I'm just blanking on your original question here.
So if I go live immediately now, and 3 minutes passes, would anybody be able to see the content? Like my entire introduction takes less than 3 minutes, for example. Would they miss all of that?
No, so that would depend on the platform, but generally speaking, like when you first hit play or when it first auto plays, it'll be current. So like if they're 2 minutes late, so to speak, it'll just show them your current live stream.
Yep.
But like a lot of times YouTube will let you rewind while you're still live.
Yeah.
Facebook sometimes lets you do that, and then Vimeo or Twitch, I can't remember off the top of my head, but yeah, that's more platform dependent than plugin dependent.
That never ceases to amaze me that you can rewind essentially live television. It's so close awesome to being live, but you can still go back 10 seconds, even though it just now happened. So, okay, another question. What if I schedule something? So let's say, for example, every Monday, 2 p.m. UK time, I'm going live. And that's the only time I go live. So what I want to see is that it picks up that I'm going to be going live at 2 p.m. and it's kind of ready for that. It's, it
Right.
knows somehow, because the current setup that I've got, which was just a bit of PHP that I threw together, it doesn't really need to worry about that. It's just consuming the live feed, and in the absence of a live feed, it tells me on the inside the UI for the video, it says next going live in, I don't know, 3 hours and 28 minutes or something.
Right. Yeah. So currently it will only embed it once you're truly live. The only caveat to that is if you do like a premiere video on YouTube, YouTube will do an automatic countdown for you, and so it'll pick that up as part of your live stream. But yeah, that is something that I'm wanting to add as far as offering a countdown feature for people like you who have like a set schedule, like it's always going to be this time. It's easy to detect. So let me just input my schedule here and it'll detect that for you. But also for people who don't have that set schedule, but they still use like the scheduled live stream feature on YouTube or Vimeo, so that like it can detect that as well and still grab people to say, hey, we're not live yet, but we're going to be soon.
Yeah.
That's something that's definitely on our roadmap.
Yeah, because in all honesty, I'm not really sure how that workflow works. All I know is that in StreamYard, I set the time of when I'm next going to go live. So StreamYard is the SaaS app, which enables me to go out to these different destinations, YouTube and so on, and then I paste the YouTube into my website. Somehow in the UI there, I enter the time I want to go live, and it provides that to the platforms, and they then display it as a part of the post and so on. So yeah,
Gotcha.
Like in your situation, I'm sure the church thing that you do each week probably happens at a regular time, I would imagine. So
Right.
it feels like a nice fit.
For sure.
Yeah. What about things like, I don't know, the ability to put this on a multi-site network? Can you do that? Can you embed this in more than one place? Like, let's say I buy we'll get onto the pricing and licenses in a minute, but could I put this on like a variety of different pages and stream to different pages from different channels all at the same time?
Yeah, so we do support multi-site, and so what that does is basically for each of your sites within your multi-site install, they can have a different, channel, different platform that they're embedding the stream from.
Oh, nice.
So that works out of the box right now. And another thing on our roadmap, you're really good at figuring out what my roadmap is. Is we have had requests for people that are on like a single install WordPress installation, but they want, page A to embed from their Facebook and they want page B to embed from their YouTube. Right now, it's kind of like a universal setting. So for each site, it'll always pull from one platform. And so the goal long term would be to where you can, using the shortcode or the upcoming block, you could say, hey, on this page, I want it to embed from Facebook or from YouTube or from whatever. So on a single site installation, that's basically on the roadmap, but for the multi-site situation, that's already supported.
Okay. Yeah, because it kind of feels that, especially with everything going online these days, and who knows how long that whole crisis will last, but it kind of feels like you might have I don't know, take the example of a school or something where they want to distribute, teacher A is doing physics over on this URL, and teacher B is doing chemistry over here, and we've got the English teacher on this one, and they're all using, their WordPress website to do it all, and this presumably could handle that if those modifications were made. And it just a thought. But yeah, it really does feel like I've read your roadmap. Is there anything on the roadmap though? There's a good point. Anything on the roadmap that is significant that I didn't guess?
Ultimately, like my long-term goal would be to where this could work independent of your WordPress like installation, meaning like with a lot of like the headless WordPress sites, things like that. But then also extending that to where if you just have like a regular front end site or you're on a totally different platform, you could still use WP Livestream as your auto detection system. That's like my long-term goal. Because obviously I'm a big WordPress guy, and WordPress powers half the internet anyway. But I would love to open it up to everybody. So that's like the long-term goal. But in the meantime, basically the roadmap consists of what we've already discussed, plus adding some more niche platforms for support, some more customization options for those notifications. And then the chat feature is going to be a big one if we can get that working as well.
Yeah, I feel I'd so be all over the chat feature. That would be great.
Yeah.
The pricing then, we've got, if you go to WPLivestream.com, most of what you need to know is on that homepage, including the pricing. Go about halfway down. Do you want to talk us through that? How many different tiers and what pricing points you've got?
Yeah, so right now we have 3 tiers. You have personal, professional, and the developer. Right now it's basically tiered based off of the number of sites you want to use it on and the type of support that you'll receive. So the personal plan, which is our most popular one, it works on one WordPress site, and then you get standard email support through that, but you get all the regular features of the plugin. And then the professional license works on 3 websites, and the developer license works on unlimited. Mm-hmm. And with the professional, you get priority support, and with the developer, you get priority chat support as well. And the professional and developer licenses are the ones that support the multi-site environment, whereas the personal one will just work on one site.
Yeah. Okay, I got it. This really is right in my wheelhouse. This is such a refreshing subject where I actually feel like I know what I'm on about, which is quite nice.
That's great.
It makes a change. I think probably we've consumed all the time that we need to give to this one. WPLivestream.com. You can reach out to Nathan. Presumably there is a contact link in the top there. Yep. Thank you very much for coming on the podcast today and explaining this exciting plugin. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I wanted to offer your listeners a discount as well. If they use the code VIP at checkout, they'll get 15% off any of our licenses.
That is very kind. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'll make sure to include that when I publish it live. Thanks very much, Nathan.
Thank you so much.
Well, I hope that you enjoyed that. It was very nice to chat with Nathan Parikh today about his product, WP Livestream, and how it can enable you to easily put a live stream from multiple different platforms onto your WordPress website so that you can maintain some kind of ownership of it. Like I say, there is a deal code. It is deal code VIP, and it will entitle you to 15% off WP Livestream if you use that at the checkout. The WP Builds podcast was brought to you today by Cloudways. Cloudways is a managed cloud hosting platform that ensures simplicity, performance, and security. It offers cloud servers from 5 different cloud providers that you can manage through its intuitive platform. Some of the features include 24/7 support, free migrations, and a dedicated firewall. You can check it out at cloudways.com. And A/B Split Test. Do you want to set up your A/B split test in record time? The new A/B split test plugin for WordPress will have you up and running in a couple of minutes. Use your existing pages and test anything against anything else. Buttons, images, headers, rows, anything. And the best part is that it works with Elementor, Beaver Builder, and the WordPress block editor. You can check it out and get a free demo at absplittest.com. Okay, we will be back next Thursday. As it was an interview this week, I will be chatting next week with David Wormsley as we go through our A to Z of WordPress. And also, I'll be back every Monday, 2 p.m. UK time with Paul Lacey for This Week in WordPress. That's on the URL wpbuilds.com/live or in our Facebook group. And then we'll also put that out as an episode for the podcast with some audio and video to accompany it on Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. UK time. You can find out all about that at wpbuilds.com/subscribe. Okay, stay safe, have a good week. Cheesy music coming in. Bye-bye for now.